Alright, according to our news right here from Times Tabloid, Dark Defender to XRP holders. Double and triple digits are closer than you could ever imagine. Alright, what if everything you think you know about crypto market right now is a complete illusion? Imagine looking at a map from 2 years ago that predicted the exact day, the exact hour, and the exact price level of a massive financial breakout, only to realize that the very same map is being used again right now. Alright? The XRP community right now is buzzing over a stunning revelation shared on X by a top crypto analyst, Dark Defender. He just released a legendary chart that correctly predicted XRP's explosive run from 56 cents all the way to its all-time high of $3.66. But he didn't share it just to brag. He shared it because he believes the exact same pattern has returned. And this time, the target isn't just single digits. We are talking about double and triple digits being closer than anyone could ever imagine. As a market observer who tracks these whale movements and structural shifts daily, I've spent hours breaking down this data. We are going to look at why the current price at $1.10 might be the biggest accumulation discount of our generation, how an old 2024 chart holds the master key to the rest of 2026, and what it truly means for your portfolio when the third wave hits. So let's get right into the facts. All right. Our very first question right here is, why does an old 2024 chart hold the key to XRP's future? To understand where we are going, we have to look at where we've been. Dark Defender reminded his followers that just 2 years ago, XRP was sitting silently at a measly 56 cents. Right? 56 cents 2 years ago. Back then, he mapped out an intricate Elliott wave style structure drop inside a massive symmetrical triangle. Right? This is the massive symmetrical triangle right here. Most people laugh at the chart. They called it impossible. They said XRP was dead money. But then reality kicked in. The pattern played out perfectly. XRP sliced through its key resistance levels, check off at its 161.8% right here, Fibonacci extension target at $1.88, surged past $3 in January 2025, and ultimately completed its textbook bullish structure right at $3.66 all-time high in July. What looked like wild speculation in 2024 became undeniably financial history. So in my view, history in the crypto space doesn't just repeat itself. It rhymes because human psychology never changes. When I look back at this 2024 chart, it reminds me that the biggest moves always start in absolute silence when retail investors have completely given up. As a market observer, I see this historical validation as proof that mathematical structures dictate market trends far more than daily news headlines or social media panic. If a blueprint worked perfectly to take us to $3.66, ignoring that same blueprint today is a massive mistake. So, the next question is XRP repeating the exact pre-breakout setup today? Now let's fast forward to right now in June 2026. XRP is currently hovering around the $1.10 price. Alright, XRP is at $1.10 right now. That's after a corrective pullback. But according to Dark Defender right here, this isn't a sign of weakness. It's a mirror image of the technical position we saw before the last multi-dollar explosion. He notes that the recent downward price action is actually healthy, necessary corrective phase within a much grander bullish cycle. Think of it like an archer pulling an arrow back on a bow. The further back the arrow goes, the more tension is created, and the faster it flies forward once released. Dark Defender pointed out a critical detail that backing this up, all major time frames are currently heavily oversold. So my take on this is that the current market is playing a massive psychological game with retail traders. People see a pullback to $1.10 and they panic, but they fail to look at the larger horizon. When momentum indicators are oversold across multiple time frames simultaneously, it's like a vacuum being created in the order books. So to me, this current setup is an absolute gift. The market is flushing out the weak hands one last time before the real institutional volume floods the gates. All right. So the next question is, what does a third wave mean for double and triple digit targets? This is where things go from exciting to absolute life changing. In Elliott wave theory, the third wave is traditionally the longest, strongest, and most aggressive move in market cycle. It is the phase where FOMO takes over, corporate treasuries FOMO in, and prices go vertical. Dark Defender isn't looking at small gains. He explicitly stated on X that double and triple digits are closer than you could ever imagine. So let's highlight this part. He has already mapped out the next major upside milestone at $5.85, but the ultimate destination he is tracking for this larger bullish cycle sits at a jaw-dropping $18.22. All right, so let's highlight that part. In my opinion, I know an $18 XRP sounds completely wild to the average person on the street. But as a market observer who looks at asset tokenization and cross-border liquidity demands in 2026, I believe these triple-digit projections are mathematically justified over the long term. When the banking infrastructure fully integrates the XRP ledger for global settlements, the sheer volume will require a much higher token value just to handle the liquidity. We are moving away from a retail-driven market and into a utility-driven super cycle. $18.22 isn't a dream. It is a milestone of true utility. Right? So, how should strategic investors prepare for the coming shift? How do we handle this data moving forward? If Dark Defender's analysis plays out like this, like his 2024 chart did right here, we are sitting at the final validation point where the next massive era wave. So my strategy right now is all about patience and macro vision. It is incredibly easy to get distracted by day-to-day volatility, but the smart money always focuses on the structural health of the asset. The oversold timeframes tell me that the selling pressure is exhausted. The historical charts tell me the pattern is valid. As a market observer, my game plan is to tune out the noise, ignore the short-term critics, and keep my eyes firmly fixed on the structural targets. So, overall, when we weigh the historical accuracy of the 2024 blueprint against the current technical setup this June 2026, the conclusion is very clear. XRP has successfully validated its path to $3.66 in the past. proving that these structural patterns are real and highly accurate. So today the asset is retesting the $1.10 in a heavily oversold state, completing a correction phase that perfectly sets the stage for a massive, powerful third wave. Whether the market hits $5.85 next or flies straight toward the macro target of $18.22, the underlying data suggests that the baseline for XRP has permanently shifted higher. The digital asset is no longer the speculative token of the past. It is a global financial infrastructure giant coiling for its next macro expansion. The signs are all over the charts. The analyst data is live on X, and the smart money is quietly positioned. And this finally ends our video. Thank you very much for watching, and see you on the next one, or you might just as well check this video shown, this next recommended video shown right here.